Cybertruck hits a fire hydrant in Texas, and the results are kind of interesting. And stick around to the end of this video where I'll talk about the strangest thing about this whole incident. In Harlingen, Texas, right near the Bass Pro Shop, a Cybertruck decided to crash into a fire hydrant. And the results weren't actually that surprising. It caught on fire. But some of the details around this incident are fairly unique. For example, when you're looking at this scene, where is the fire hydrant? I would expect this truck to be parked right on top of the hydrant itself because I've seen quite a few vehicle versus hydrant crashes in my time in the fire service. And most of the time, the hydrant wins. There's no doubt about it because the vehicle's stuck to the hydrant. It's more or less an immovable object. But I'll come back to the hydrant location in a little bit. I want to first start by talking about the Cybertruck's battery. The way this battery is constructed is far better than most of the other electric vehicles on the road today. They have a void space to allow those batteries, if they fail, to vent away from the other battery cells, ideally stopping that cascading thermal runaway effect inside the battery should one cell fail. But anytime there's mechanical damage to the underside of that vehicle and those battery cells are damaged, especially if it's multiple battery cells being crushed, it's going to cause the vehicle to catch on fire. And that's exactly what we see here. We see this Cybertruck venting fire down towards the roadway. That's because the battery was damaged by that fire hydrant. It's becoming more and more likely to see a Cybertruck out on the roadways in the wild. Based on the latest recall data, there's about 15,000 Cybertrucks on the roadways today, and we're starting to see them more and more frequently. This is one vehicle that I've been frustrated with because it took Tesla a very long time to get the emergency response guide released. But thankfully, it has been released and it is available online today. As I mentioned earlier, the Cybertruck clearly lost. I mean, how is a Cybertruck going to stand up to a fire hydrant? It can't even stand up to this plastic fence. Look at all the damage and all the coolant leaking out. Even though it doesn't have a traditional radiator, it does have a radiator for the battery so it can cool those battery cells when things are hot. From what I can tell, this is the location of the hydrant. But it really surprises me because after the collision with that fire hydrant, that Cybertruck drove an additional 450 feet. That is about 445 feet further than I expected. Local authorities are claiming the fire hydrant is why that battery started on fire. Well, that's kind of obvious. But what they're saying is it's because water sprayed up into the battery compartment itself, causing that fire. Now, most of us from northern states don't realize that there's two different types of hydrants. In the colder climates, there's dry hydrants. So if that hydrant is damaged, it's very unlikely that any water is even going to come out of the ground. If it does, it's going to be very little because that valve is located deep underground. But in southern states like Texas, they have wet hydrants. So if that hydrant is damaged, you have this catastrophic failure with water flying into the air like a geyser, most like what we're used to seeing in the movies. Now, I'm sure the water did not help the situation. The mechanical damage was mostly what was responsible for the thermal runaway. In fact, if that vehicle would have stalled out on top of that hydrant with all that water blasting up underneath, it likely would have helped the situation and made the job for the firefighters a little bit easier. Overall, it took fire crews about 90 minutes to fully extinguish this fire. And this is one of those situations, again, it goes back to vehicle construction, but it also ties into the type of access they have to the inside of that battery case. And if the bottom of that vehicle is ripped open and exposed, it makes it a lot easier to get water up inside of that battery case, stopping that cascading thermal runaway event. I would like to point out a couple issues. These are things the fire service isn't fully aware of. We can't treat these like traditional vehicle fires. The first thing, we don't need to use foam when the battery's in thermal runaway. It's not going to help us out. In fact, all it does is cost us extra money because we're wasting that foam. Plain old water is okay. The second point, crews need to wear their SCBA. This isn't a normal vehicle fire. All that stuff that's coming off of the battery right now, that's the battery off-gassing. We don't need to be breathing that in. I fully understand. In a traditional vehicle fire, I'm guilty of it myself. Just walking around the vehicle while it's on fire, as long as you stay out of the smoke, you're okay. But with an electric vehicle, stay back, set up your hot zone, and wear your SCBA when that vehicle's off-gassing. After the fire was out, the vehicle was loaded up onto a tow truck, and an apparatus, a fire engine, followed that tow truck to the salvage yard. That's absolutely what you should be doing in this case because if that vehicle were to reignite on the tow truck, it makes our response that much quicker, hopefully keeps the tow truck from catching on fire as well. The strangest thing about this whole incident is the fact that we know this is the second Cybertruck fire out on the roads today. This is something that's very unusual when it comes to vehicles. Typically, when a new vehicle is released, we have no idea anything about any fires that ever happen in those vehicles because realistically, fires do happen all the time. But with a vehicle so special like a Cybertruck, everybody's on the lookout for it. And because there's such a stigma around these high voltage batteries and thermal runaway, we knew this happened. It made the news. And here I am talking about it today. Don't get me wrong, there are some differences with electric vehicle fires and some additional hazards that we have to worry about, but it's really incredible the type of attention it does receive.